No one despised him more than Debbie Reynolds. Debbie Reynolds was born Mary Frances Reynolds in El Paso, Texas, on April 1, 1932. Her perseverance and charm stemmed from her modest upbringing and strong work ethic. Her parents were police officer Raymond Francis Reynolds and singer and dancer Carrie Jane Cottrell. Thus, Debbie was exposed to entertainment early on, sparking her lifelong love of performing. Reynolds' career began at 16 when she won a local beauty pageant and was signed by MGM, one of Hollywood's biggest companies. Studio executives noticed her bubbliness and girl-next-door appeal, launching her career. Her breakout role was in 1950's Singing in the Rain, with Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor. She received critical acclaim for playing Kathy Selden, a young actress transitioning from silent to talkies. Debbie's performance made the picture one among cinema's most beloved musicals, showing off her natural acting, singing, and dancing skills. Reynolds starred in several musicals, comedies, and dramas throughout the 1950s and 1960s, becoming one of Hollywood's most beloved leading ladies. She was nominated for an Oscar for The Unsinkable Molly Brown, Tammy, and The Bachelor, and How the West Was Won. Her voice was similarly fascinating, and she released many albums, winning over music enthusiasts. She delighted viewers on The Debbie Reynolds Show and guest appearances with her comedic timing and friendliness. Besides acting, Debbie was a talented singer who released several albums and performed in concerts with her warm, clear voice and charisma. She had a varied career because she could connect with audiences through song and acting. Debbie Reynolds was resilient, generous, and dedicated to Hollywood history off-screen. She had one of the largest private collections of Hollywood memorabilia. Due to her love of film history, she founded the Hollywood Motion Picture Museum to honor cinema and inspire future generations. Reynolds was respected and admired by colleagues and fans for her grace and professionalism during her public marriage and divorce from Eddie Fisher. Later in life, Debbie moved to television and found success on shows like Will and Grace, bringing her talents to new audiences and showing her comedic timing. She performed on Broadway and live, proving her love of performance never faded. Her vivid charisma and infectious passion made her a beloved entertainer, friend, and mentor in the profession. Debbie Reynolds was married 3 times and was noted for her talent on stage and television, as well as her grace under scrutiny. In 1955, at the height of their careers, she married Eddie Fisher, her first and most famous husband. The duo became Hollywood's golden pair soon, loved by fans for their good looks and star power. Their marriage produced 2 children, Carrie Fisher, who became a famed actress and writer best remembered for playing Princess Leia in Star Wars, and Todd Fisher, a producer, director, and cinematographer. When Eddie Fisher was caught cheating with Reynolds' close friend Elizabeth Taylor in 1959, their seemingly idyllic family life ended abruptly and painfully. Taylor's affair began after her husband, producer Mike Todd, died in a plane crash. Todd's close buddy Fisher supported Taylor amid her bereavement, which led to a sexual connection. The news startled the public and sparked a tabloid-dominated crisis. The aftermath was quick and devastating. Reynolds divorced Fisher, and the scandal ruined his public image and forced the cancellation of The Eddie Fisher Show. Reynolds kept her dignity throughout betrayal and suffering. Her grace and handling earned her praise. Reynolds' forgiveness and strength allowed Taylor and Reynolds to reconnect later. Harry Carl, a wealthy businessman and Marie McDonald's ex-husband, was Reynolds' second spouse from 1960 to 1973. Carl ran a profitable shoe business chain. Reynolds thought this new phase would bring her more stability. Reynolds was more involved in motherhood and family life with this marriage, despite her hard job. Reynolds made a wonderful sacrifice in the 1960s when her daughter Carrie and Carl's daughter from a previous marriage, Tina, were 13. She rescheduled her work to lead their Girl Scout troop. She left the studio early on Friday afternoons to attend troop meetings, showing her family commitment amid celebrity scrutiny. This marriage has severe drawbacks. Reynolds didn't realize Carl's gambling addiction. Eventually, he wasted his and her fortune. His poor investments and excessive gambling put the marriage in financial trouble. Reynolds later admitted that Carl's mismanagement left her in grave financial problems, forcing her to labor hard into her senior years to recover. Financial problems and emotional isolation led to a 1973 divorce. A decade following her second divorce, Reynolds married real estate entrepreneur Richard Hamlet in 1984, her third and final marriage. Reynolds wanted lifelong companionship and thought this union would provide serenity and collaboration. Reynolds invested in and renovated the Debbie Reynolds Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, a dream project she thought would respect her legacy and support her financially. However, this marriage disappointed. As Reynolds' hotel investment failed and she encountered financial troubles again, the relationship deteriorated. After 12 years, the marriage ended in 1996 due to business pressures and personal difficulties. Reynolds later reflected on this relationship with sorrow and humor, saying her husbands were less successful than her acting. Debbie Reynolds maintained her optimism, humor, and family commitment throughout these marriages, despite the pain and financial difficulties. One of her most compelling and recurring themes was her love and care for her children, especially Carrie. Her resilience and ability to overcome personal adversity made her one of Hollywood's most beloved and resilient actors. In Hollywood, where fleeting friendships and simmering rivalries often lurk behind smiles and red carpet glamour, few tensions have been as emotionally charged or quietly toxic as Debbie Reynolds and Walter Brennan's. Debbie Reynolds was known for her charm, warmth, and effervescence, especially in musicals and comedies that made her America's sweetheart, yet she reputedly hated Walter Brennan. Brennan, a three-time Academy Award-winning character actor, was recognized for his gravelly voice, conservatism, and grit. His performances as crusty but endearing sidekicks hid a colder, more combative personality, according to Hollywood. Debbie Reynolds' openness and inclusivity reflected Hollywood's changing times in the 1950s and 60s. Regularly disagreed with the experienced actor politically and personally. Debbie's hatred for Brennan began with a late 1950s studio luncheon incident. Reynolds, then a rising star who had done well singing in the rain, sat next to Brennan at a formal MGM event. Brennan made an offhand comment about female actors possessing the fortitude to thrive in the film industry without becoming pretty ornaments in a gathering full of stars, executives, and industry insiders drinking champagne and gossiping. Reynolds was appalled by the blatant chauvinism. Having worked for recognition as an actress and singer, she replied with chilly disdain, "Well, I guess I'm just an ornament who signs more autographs than you ever will." Brennan, apparently agitated, left mumbling, but those present said the statements were neither flattering nor forgotten. That exchange started a long-term conflict. Over the next decade, they met on studio lots and professional functions. The room got cooler whenever they were together. Debbie, usually pleasant and diplomatic, became brusque when Brennan's name was mentioned. She rejected any projects with him. She allegedly demanded his name be deleted from certain television casting conversations. Brennan dismissed Reynolds in interviews without naming her as part of the Hollywood crowd that neglected America. Political differences deepened their divide. Reynolds became more involved in social concerns, fighting for equality and subsequently openly discussing mental health issues in support of her daughter, Carrie Fisher, while Brennan became more vocal in his ultra-conservative beliefs throughout the Vietnam War and civil rights movement. Brennan's private comments against younger, more progressive stars like Reynolds, whom he saw as eroding traditional American values, reflected his hatred for the shifting cultural atmosphere. Reynolds forgave many, including Eddie Fisher, who left her for Elizabeth Taylor. Apparently, she never softened against Brennan. After decades of working, her friends said he was the only person she could not stand. She could joke about anything, a friend said. She smiled less when Walter Brennan appeared. Dislike was deep. One of Debbie Reynolds' few lasting feuds was with Walter Brennan, whether owing to clashing personalities, harsh political differences, or unstated personal affronts. This Hollywood rivalry never ended, unlike most. Walter Brennan was the only exception for Debbie, who could forgive almost anyone. He proved that even America's sweetheart had her limits. Debbie Reynolds was transported to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles one day after her daughter Carrie Fisher's tragic death. Todd Fisher, Debbie's son, said she had a massive stroke at his sister Carrie's house, where the family was grieving her untimely death. Todd later said that Reynolds, distraught, said, "I want to be with Carrie." Reynolds collapsed hours later, prompting an EMT call. Reynolds' health rapidly declined despite doctors' efforts to stabilize her. Later that afternoon, Cedars-Sinai pronounced Reynolds deceased. Her age was 84. Her tragic demise so soon after her daughter's death shocked the globe and compounded the pain of fans, friends, and performers across generations. The twin tragedy of losing two of Hollywood's most revered icons in less than 48 hours made headlines worldwide and raised questions about Reynolds' grief. The intimate tie between mother and daughter was well known, but this final chapter deepened and even mythicalized it. Debbie Reynolds died of an intracerebral hemorrhage on January 9, 2017, according to official records. Chronic high blood pressure contributed, according to the findings. This medical ailment, commonly connected to stress and emotional strain, emphasized Reynolds's likely bodily burden after her daughter's death. Many believe Debbie Reynolds died of a broken heart because her sadness was too tremendous for her heart and body. Reynolds' death was set in motion days before. On December 23, 2016, her daughter Carrie Fisher, best known for her portrayal as Princess Leia in Star Wars and her forthright writing and wit, had a serious medical emergency on a transatlantic flight from London to Los Angeles. Cardiopulmonary arrest occurred 15 minutes before the plane landed. She was transported to Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center after landing as passengers and airline crew tried to revive her. On December 27, 2016, Fisher died after intensive care and a fleeting hope of recovery. 60 years old. Her death shook Hollywood and fans worldwide. Carrie Fisher had just finished a UK promotional tour for her novel, The Princess Diarist, in which she reflected on her life and her complex but loving relationship with her mother. The irony of her final public remarks focusing on Debbie Reynolds made future events more poignant. Reynolds was grieved by Carrie's death. She had supported her through her mental health, drug, and stardom issues. Reynolds' life ended the next day, as if she could not live without her beloved daughter.